Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 609. So many episodes that I almost wrote the wrong number about 5 times. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by sci-fi romance superstar Tana Stone. Tana, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. We're both soaking in this North Carolina cold today.
Exactly. But at least there's sun.
There is sun. I don't know if you guys had this over by you. We had the phantom snow day yesterday. There was no snow, but
Yep.
there was also no school because there might have been snow.
Might have been anticipated precipitation. Yes.
Yes, and anticipate precipitation.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, and so we had late arrival today, so it's been a little crazy to start the week, but we're here. It's happening. Funny thing is, you write in a variety of genres. I didn't know about this one when we talked.
That's
Like that was
yep.
because you're prolific. You write a lot. You have had trad success, self-published success. Um, like, what do you think when someone finds out that you write all these different things? Like, are they like, how do you keep all these worlds straight? Like, how do you what are people's reactions?
Yeah, they're pretty surprised usually. And I
Yeah.
don't think I have 4 pen names. I don't think that's the best idea necessarily. Um, but it has been great and I do enjoy all of them and they each kind of feed me in a different way. So, and also as
Right.
you talk, I'm a high learner, so I like new things. So my brain likes to switch from one genre to the next. So I
That's
can't
awesome.
write more than like 2 books in the same genre without having to go to another one. I just get a little
Yeah.
squirrely. So it's worked for me. But it is a lot
Yeah.
of juggling.
Yeah. I can imagine even just like juggling the 7 different parts of Best Page Forward. It's just like, but it's still all sort of the same thing to have a totally different pivot, which I'm playing around with going into next year. But it's like it's a lot, and yet if it, like you said, if it feeds you, that's what matters.
Right. Right. And you kind of make it work. And it's
Yeah.
like they aren't all, I'm not releasing in all 4 at the same time, and sometimes not even
Right.
in the same year. So the focus and the energy does shift to each one. But it's
Yeah.
also a mood thing, you know. I
Right.
It's kind of like what do I want to write next? And it's fun to be able to have that option to go into a pen name that I can then just pop in and put a couple of books out and then pop over. And it works. It's exhausting sometimes, but it does.
Sure, of course. I mean, like, I bet when you look at someone like who's written like 10 romantices or 10 like best friends to lovers, and that's like all they write, and they've had success, but it's like you look at that and it's like, it would be nice to have the money, but that's not my life.
Right. And I mean, honestly, if I just wrote 10 books and the same thing and just, focus, which I have done before,
Yeah.
but it is that thing where I just, part of it is you want to feed what you enjoy. And then the other part is like doing what your brain's like, oh, this is logical. This will be the most financially successful, which is true. Doing the same thing and staying in your lane and moving forward definitely is better in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
here we are.
Well, something I've been telling people lately, because it's like I feel like it's crystallizing. I think every couple years your philosophy about life kind of crystallizes a little bit more, and it's like it's that intersection between like the Becca Simism of uh, uh, when you focus on something you're good at, you can get so much better at it.
Yeah.
So having the thing that you can get better at, but having that be an intersection with things that you love doing. Like, if you don't love realizing your strength in that way, it's not going to be as fulfilling. And so that combination of the thing you're good at, the thing you love doing, and then that thing being something that actually gets you the result, like that gets you the more book sales, gets you the more, like, if I was really good at, once upon a time making drinks at Starbucks. And it's like, I was great about strategizing different drink recipes, whatever. It's like, well, that's not going to make me any money. And so I think that we've all gone in good directions for ourselves.
Yeah. And I think one thing is there's an intersection where I realized at some point that all of my pen name, all the books have certain things in common. Like they all
Yeah.
kind of, and I was like, oh, they're very different genres, but they all have found family, a lot of found family. They all things that I
Mhm.
enjoy. And I realized that like, oh, I'm kind of writing the same type of things that I love just in different genres. So it just helps me have that cohesion and continue to
Yeah.
always do what I like to do.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of fun today.
Yeah.
So we had a question a couple weeks back, and I'll ask you this too, Tana, but what is the one thing you could do to improve your sales in 2026, but you haven't committed to yet? Mike Bellis says promoting. Kevin Morgan says, no idea. Try something new. I've tried many things and still do. Royalties are stable and have been for a decade at about $120 a month. And Jan S. Gepard said, putting the A+ content onto my sales pages. I do like that A+ content with the chart, the chart of the different books. Other than that, get a designer to do it. That would be my top advice for A+ content.
Yeah,
But
that's good advice.
Tana, what is something that would work for you in 2026 that you're like, I haven't quite committed to this yet, but I think I'm going to do it? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Probably direct sales, TikTok shop,
Okay.
which I've had on my
Okay.
list, but it's kind of a mindset set shift. And it's like also like, okay, then you have to have your either, arrange for your stock or you ship things, or
Yep.
all the different pieces. So part of me is kind of like, oof, I've been putting it off, but I do think it's going to happen this year.
A lot of people doing it, but it's not like a perfect thing. I just saw someone who has done very well from it, deciding to kind of go back in and all in on Amazon. So it's not like everyone who does a TikTok shop always sticks with it
Yeah.
forever.
Well, I
But
think that's
yeah,
the good
no.
thing. You try something new and 6 months from now, I could
Yes.
be like, you know what? That was a disaster.
Yeah,
But
I
then
have. Yeah. Best Page Forward had a cover service at one point. And we were working with like a white label type situation, but we were giving them all the advice to make sure that the cover that came back to us was written to market or covered to market.
Yeah.
And the end of the service came. We got like a lot of refunds, and we were like, what's going on? Like, we're giving them these covered to market covers at a discount. And the day that I realized the service was going to die was we send this perfect person the perfect covered to market cover, and they said, great, can you put a big bird on it? And we were like, okay, it's we're gonna fulfill the order. The funny thing is, we have this one guy. If he's not seven figures, he's high six. Works with our agency. He's like our only client in it anymore. And he just is like, this is great. I don't have to think of covers. We'll use you for all of them forever. It's like he's our only client on it, and he's probably a seven-figure author at this point. And it's like, you guys, you could have had this. You could have had this, but they wanted the bird.
They wanted the bird.
They wanted the bird. They wanted the bird. Folks, you can get your comment read or have a chance of getting your comment read by answering the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or at sellmorebookshow.com. Tana, are you ready for the top story of the week?
Let's do it.
All right. More equals less. If you've ever dreamed of having your book made into a movie or streaming show, you could soon have even fewer places to submit your novel. Netflix, the world's largest streaming company, has made a bid to swallow up one of its biggest competitors, reports Jason P. Frank of Vulture. The Writers Guild of America is one of several organizations who've lined up to condemn the proposed acquisition of Warner Brothers Studios by Netflix, describing it as a labor impact that could have massive consequences for writers. The WGA warns that the merger could eliminate jobs, push down wages, and worsen working conditions for industry workers, including writers, screenwriters, and novelists who have their work adapted for movies and streaming. Consolidating power, yet again, could lead to fewer projects, reducing opportunities for writers and shrinking the overall market for writers' work. Quote, this merger must be blocked, the Writers Guild of America told Reuters. The world's largest streaming company swallowing one of its biggest competitors is what antitrust laws were designed to prevent, end quote. If approved, the deal would concentrate enormous creative power under one company, Netflix, and could undermine competition and reduce creative opportunities across the industry. If you've been in the writing and publishing game long enough, you might remember the loss of traditional publishing opportunities that came with the consolidation of publishers under what was then called the Big Six, which has itself consolidated into the Big Five. Authors should be aware of how big businesses can impact our choices and opportunities in the traditional writing and publishing spaces. Billionaires making billions. So, Tana, this has been big news this week in entertainment. What were your first thoughts when you heard about this?
Well, it's not great.
Not great, Bob.
Not
Yeah.
great. I just think, when you just have one or two big companies running everything, it's never good.
Yeah.
Because then you just have only just a few voices because, we all know that people at the top who are making these big decisions. And I think more voices is better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've been a part of Trad Pub, like you've seen consolidation there, like you obviously do more indie things now. Like has it changed, like seeing consolidation kind of things, has it changed the way you've done things ever, or is it just kind of like you've noticed it happening in the background like a Stranger Things poster and the upside down lightning is crackling behind as you write, but like has it impacted you specifically?
I mean, I think seeing how much of publishing and entertainment is really controlled by just a few companies. When I first
Right.
started, I actually worked for a small publishing company and
Oh,
got in and
okay.
realized it was owned by a big one. And it
Oh
hadn't
my
been, it had been
goodness.
sold. So, but everyone, unless you kind of knew, you just thought it was this very like quaint small publishing company with these southern roots, and you know it was owned by this and the control was coming from the mega editors
Of
up in New York.
course.
So that was I was only like right out of college then, and that was my like, okay, this is what's really happening. So I think just
Mm-hmm.
from there, I think it's but it only makes indie more appealing
Right.
because you don't have those gatekeepers as much.
Yeah.
So I think it's bad news for us, but also just reinforces like why I think indie is so great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and look, the nice thing is we're seeing some indies creating opportunities for themselves through screen, through TV and movies. We're seeing some indies getting picked up by these big corporations, but at least that's giving them the opportunity to sell more of their books. So hopefully this doesn't do what the article predicts and lead to significantly fewer projects, but we'll see. We'll report about it on this very show.
Excellent.
So, um, going into these hot potato wisdom questions. So, Tana, do you think this lack of competition will more impact newer authors, or is it going to more impact people who've been around for a while?
I mean, I would think that, and I have heard people talking about the fewer deals being offered to new authors, like being pulled off the slush pile, being because
Right, right, right.
so I feel like in that way it could impact newer authors more. Just because the chances of you going in and getting the agent or the big deal right away, because they're all now looking, all the big companies, whatever the four remaining are,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
looking for the successful indies because you're not gambling as much. So I think it
Right.
could impact newer authors, but I think in a way the strategy is just the same. And again, it makes
Mm,
indie look better.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got a question for me?
I do have a question for you. How have the business mergers and consolidations changed the advice you give to authors looking to get into our industry?
Well, I've been so indie focused for what, 13 years at this point. And so it's like, it certainly doesn't change my advice that I give from a, hey, self-publishing might be your best bet. It honestly hasn't changed my reasoning for when people say, oh, should I try to go trad pub or self pub? Like, my explanation has changed very little about why I think going indie makes sense. But I think it also solidifies my all my philosophies for marketing too. Like, you gotta pay to play in this industry. And that might mean running ads to your books on Amazon. It might mean building up your email list so that you have more people to reach. Because this is kind of my reasoning behind. There's a lot of people that are like, I'm going to move to a Substack, or I'm going to move to this platform, or I'm going to move to that platform. And it's like, when you are getting something for cheaper, or when you're getting more access to certain features, what are you losing? You lose control. And what we want to have as much of as possible, this is the downside to TikTok Shop. You don't get the emails, and you get them when you sell through your Shopify store or through WooCommerce or what have you. And so it's very much like, we need to make sure we know when we're making decisions, when we're giving up control or not. And obviously, when you go in through the trad pub direction, whether it's 2 companies, 4 companies, whatever, and when you get a deal for a movie, you are giving up control to get something.
Yep.
And so we just have to know that we're doing that. That's important going forward.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a good point.
We'll see how this all develops, Tana. So, awesome. We're going into the lightning round, which means everybody's favorite part. And I got to say this, I got my first ever fan mail saying that the lightning round was their favorite part. So at long last, all of my pleas of no one's ever told me they like the lightning sound or not, I finally got one.
That's
so
awesome.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Jason. All right, lightning sound away.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that. Multi-part. That was my favorite part of it. It had the multiple sounds in that. So, Tana, you found success writing across multiple pen names, multiple genres. And we kind of talked about this a little bit and a little bit off the air, but do you find you're able to balance writing for love versus writing for money?
Yes, I definitely think the multiple genres helps with that. Because each of the genres is both something I love and something that hopefully makes money. I mean, definitely, you know, there's one that is, it has the most books. You know, I have over 50 for Tana. So it just, I have the most books there. But when I get back to writing one of those books, I love it. And then I switch to another, which is a different vibe. And then I really get excited about that. So it kind of keeps it all fresh for me. And I think, but I will make strategic decisions based on, you know, income flow and knowing that, you know, what one pen name will do versus another. So that's definitely a consideration. And, you know, when you're growing a new pen name, that's a little more work and a little more effort and usually a little slower climb than one that's fully established. So I take all that in consideration.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I hadn't even really ever thought about the multiple genres being a great way to balance the doing things that make the money versus the things you love. But that's awesome that you've been able to tap into that.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it necessarily. And I did.
Right.
I've told author friends, I was like, if I mention getting another pen name, please stop me. Just, I know I'm going to think it's a great idea, but just tell me no. So.
Yeah. I'll try to help with that if I can. Awesome. Next question to me.
I've got a question for you. When should you do something for money versus doing something for the love of it?
I have gotten so many phrases like this from my mentor this year, Amanda Francis, and talking about both and. What if we could have both and? What if we can have this or something better? What if the thing you love also brings in the money? What if we can have our cake and eat it too? And so I think that for so long, even I've positioned things in this way of just like, it's one or the other. I've brought up the old John Cusack quote. I do one for them, and then I do one for me in the movie business. And it's like, well, you know what? I think that you see like indie books that take off that are totally just weird and strange, but they absolutely work. You see like indie movies, like it's not indie, but Sinners with Michael B. Jordan take off, and that's a weird, crazy movie. And it's like sometimes, and those things all made money. And so it's like you have to think about, can you figure out a win-win situation in this? Is it possible that the thing you love doing is the thing that makes money? And I still think things like genre research and things like building a brand and all this is important, and it may factor into having the most success you possibly can from doing something you love. But maybe you can have both at the same time.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, I
Yeah.
mean, every genre I've gone into it because I really like it. Like I've been a fan
Right.
before I've gone into it. I've never actually gone into something that I don't write or read thinking like, oh, this will make money. Like
Right.
I wish I actually I have to kind of go to what. And the great thing is like each of them has then, I think when you pour your like how you feel into something, when you love something, pour it, I do think that there is it like that energy comes back to you.
Yes. Yeah. You're like releasing this love, and then the love comes back and the money comes back.
And we
It's all
like the
very
love in the
happy.
form of money.
We don't mind getting both. That is for sure. Um, awesome. So end of the year planning. This can make a huge difference for the decisions that you make going into next year. But look, it's the holidays. We've got gifts to buy. We're still writing our books. We're doing our things. How do you set aside the time to make this necessary task happen?
It's that week between Christmas and New Year's. It's that like
Uh-huh.
magical where no one is really doing anything. Usually people can't ask you for anything. I think that's just the best time. And that's usually when
Mm-hmm.
I go. No, even I'll be writing up until Christmas to finish a book. Even though every year I say I'm going to take December off, it's never happened. I don't know who I'm kidding.
Every year.
Every
Yep.
year,
Every
I'm
single
convinced,
year.
and I tell everyone, "Oh, this year, yeah, I don't know why I do that." But
The only person I know who actually takes parts of December off is Claire,
Claire, I was going to say, I know she's
our
so good at that.
former co-host. She does it. I just talked to her this past week, and she's like, "I'm wrapping up this weekend." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm
I
so
know
jealous."
she's so good at that. Yeah.
She's so good at that.
Um,
All right, I've got a question coming my way from you.
do how do you decide on goals and resolutions for the following year?
So a lot of the time I'm basing a goal on how this year went. Like last year was the first ever 7-figure year for Best Page Forward. So I was like, okay, well, I'd wanted to achieve that for so long. It was actually hard for me. I'm like, well, what do I say? Like, do I want a certain amount per month, or do I want a certain? So like I kind of let it be a little more fluid to a certain extent until things started to coalesce for the year, because you don't have to come up with a goal and resolution in late December, in early January. Most people don't stick with them anyway,
Right.
so it doesn't really matter. But um, when you're trying to decide on these goals, I think it's okay to dream, and it's okay to be reasonable with the amount of work that you expect yourself to do to get to that dream. Like I hear people saying, I want to increase my royalties 20%, but then they say, so I'm going to release 8 books next year. And it's like, well, how many books did you release this past year? And they're like, 2. Like, okay, so we want to be kind to ourselves. And I think that this is like, goals give us an opportunity to be aspirational, but they also give us an opportunity to work ourselves to death. And we don't want that second one. So I think when you make a goal or a resolution, I think it's okay to kind of hold on loosely. And more Amanda Francisisms. How can this be easy? How can this be simple? How can this be fun? Versus, well, the first idea I have is to spend 15 hours a day writing. And it's like, okay, well, let's step it back a little bit.
Right. And sometimes it's like, what are you after? What's the feeling? What's the mood? What's the vibe you want for your life? And if you want to have like more time with your family, but then you also say, but I'm going to triple the number of books I write, those two might not, right? Like kind of instead goals being like, what's the end result feeling that I want for this year?
I love that. It's like the resolution setting is not a smorgasbord. It's not a buffet. You can't just take all of them because some of them literally conflict with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Last question of the lightning round. What advice do you have for people who feel like they missed their chance? They already missed their chance to succeed as an author.
I think we're still, not maybe day one, but we're still close to the beginning. Like this is not, we're not 100-year-old indie publishing industry. So I think that the thing to always remember in anything is that work compounds. And the best thing to do is to start today and just kind of keep going. And it's going to pay off over time. All that work, all that week, writing 1 page a day, you're going to have a book by the end of the year, writing, all of that, but you have to start. So I feel like worrying about being too late, I think everyone has always kind of felt that about all these different things. And it's just, I don't think it's true. There's always going to be someone who, won't start until 2 years from now and will have a bestseller right out of the gate. Like you just never know. Right. So I think you just have to get like, it's a mindset thing, just kind of clear that away and just start compounding that work.
I love that. Great answer. We need a question of the week. You are the most prepared guest co-host because you you said, should I prepare some questions? I'm like, nobody has ever asked me that question. Oh. And so, I think we've got a question of the week here from you.
So I think the question is, I would love to know if, do people audit their author year before starting a new one? I'm not sure I want to, do you assess your year at any point? I think that's great I would love to know how many people do look back and see what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, I love that. Do you audit or assess your author year to see what worked and didn't before starting a new year? Love it. I'm putting that in here for the question of the week. Y'all remember you can answer this at sellmorebookshow.com or the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. You can go to tanastone.com, TANASTONE.com, in order to check out over 50 sci-fi romance novels. Tana, it was so nice having you on the show today.
Thanks. It was fun being here.
Yay, good. North Carolina Unite. Woo-woo. Tana will be back next week where we will hit the big 610. It has been great chatting with you guys today, and I look forward to doing this all again, compounding the work every week for 11 years. Good things have happened. So for Tana, I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everybody, and we'll see you next week for episode 610. Bye.
Bye.